Good morning or good afternoon, as the case may be, folks. Thanks for joining us for this session on effective compliant communication. As we all know, communication is at the heart of the customer experience, and I'm sure that some, if not all of you, like me, have experienced situations where perhaps we didn't get our expectations met. However, because of the way the situation was handled, because of the way the communications were handled, that we didn't walk away completely upset, and more often than not, we're willing to give that person or that company another chance at our business. I've never seen an administration pursue fair housing compliance as aggressively as the current one. The most recent example of that is this press release from HUD, which we all know is one of the two federal agencies that enforce the Fair Housing Act, the Department of Housing and Urban Development, along with the Department of Justice. And this is promoting the fact that they are distributing $30 million to fight housing discrimination. And when you read through the entire press release, this is just a snippet, you'll discover that 70% of the funds are devoted to enforcement, and most of the funds devoted to enforcement are about testers. And let's face it, at most communities, our maintenance professionals, our service team, your technicians, your maintenance supervisor, even your housekeepers and groundskeepers typically have more contact with the residents than the folks in the office. And that's why it is so vitally important to train everybody in fair housing compliance, particularly in fair housing friendly conversations and communication. I find that one of the biggest areas kind of is in sync with the protected class that generates the most fair housing complaints. And that would be, of course, disability. For the past 6 consecutive years, complaints alleging discrimination due to disability have accounted for either almost, or the last number I saw was 54%. 54% of all fair housing complaints said, I was denied equal access or I was denied equal enjoyment because of my disability. And this is particularly important for our service team because if they're not trained, then they are wondering, why is this person getting special treatment? How come this person has a dog and we don't allow pets? How come I have to take their garbage to the dumpster? How come they have a reserved parking space when we don't offer reserved parking spaces to the general public? Folks, it is critical that anyone who is interacting with your customers or the public, let's face it, how often does somebody come to look at your community and they leave the leasing office and all of a sudden they remember a question, they look around, there's one of your service techs in a uniform with a name tag, and the prospect goes up and talks to them instead of coming back into the leasing center. So everybody needs to know the basics, and there are 2 basics. This is it. I mean, you read through the 37 pages of the Fair Housing Act and you will come away with the 2 requirements for fair housing compliance. Requirement number 1, anyone, everyone who qualifies is entitled to an equal opportunity to buy or lease the home of their choice. Whoever meets your qualifying standards is entitled to lease an apartment from you. Now, at almost all communities, our service team is not involved in this process. I know at some smaller communities, you have somebody who is the manager, the maintenance supervisor, the landscaper, chief cook, and bottle washer.